All right, Tim Frisch here with a Frisch Perspective, bringing you analysis, reviews, and fun from a Christian nerd's point of view. Today I'm going to talk about something that isn't really all that important, but it's something that I've observed, and I just thought it would be fun to talk about a little bit and get your feedback on it as well in the comments. And it has to do with the fact that there are some awesome editions being put out of different Bible translations. There's some beautiful translations out there, beautiful editions that are being put out by different publishers. I mean, I think we're really in a renaissance of Bible manufacturing, in my opinion. I just think, there have been great quality Bibles of the past, but right now, Bibles are just coming out in such beautiful editions. And so I love it. I've always enjoyed a really good quality Bible, but I just think, some of the best editions ever are coming out right now. But out of all the translations that are being put out in good editions, one of them is receiving particularly good treatment. And that's what I wanted to point out today. That this one translation is receiving better treatment than all the others, in my opinion. And that is the King James Version. Now, I guess it's kind of understandable, when you talk about a Bible getting royal treatment, what better Bible to get royal treatment than the King James, right? It is the King James. It's a historic Bible. It's a Bible that's been loved and used by Christians for centuries now. It is still a beloved translation. So yeah, it makes sense the King James gets such good treatment. I just have to say, though, I'm a little jealous. I really wish that other translations could get as nice of editions put out as the King James. When it comes to materials, when it comes to formatting, I just don't think you can get better than some of those King James Bibles that are out there. And so I wanted to point out a couple ways in which I think the King James gets special treatment. And the first is that so many publishers manufacture the King James Bible. And so that's a real advantage. You're just going to get such variety. And these are good publishers. I mean, we're talking about Cambridge, which has published the King James for hundreds of years. Allen, which makes beautiful Bibles. Schuyler, top-notch premium Bibles, and many others that are great publishers putting out the King James, including Nelson. Church Bible Publishers, an American company that just kind of does their own binding and everything, and they do a great job putting out King James Bibles. So I mean, there's just so many publishers of the King James. So that's one thing, and then another thing. When these publishers are putting out Bibles, they have some really nice editions of Bibles, but their King James Bibles are like the top of the top. I mean, they're just the best Bibles they put out. So when you think about Schuyler, amazing Bibles that they're putting out, the Quentel, a very popular and highly rated line of Bibles, but then Schuyler, when they get to the King James, they put out the Canterbury, which has beautiful extra features from the Quentel. Has these beautiful drop caps, has poetry in single column format. I mean, it's just gorgeous, And now Schuyler is going to be putting out the Treveris. That's just come out. And the Full Yap Canterbury is coming out. I mean, Schuyler already makes awesome Bibles, right? And then what's the best ones that they're making now? King James. And then you think about Allen Bibles, and I have a few Allen Bibles, not a lot, but man, these are some nice Bibles. But then I would say, out of the Allen Bibles that I have, guess which one is made the best? The King James. This is a Allen 52 long primer, and it's just beautifully constructed. And I love the format. And this is really great in and of itself, but the Allen puts out a 62, an even bigger version of this, and they call it the Sovereign. I mean, that says something right there. So Allen makes some beautiful Bibles, but I think their best Bibles that they're putting out are King James. And then, of course, you think of Cambridge, which has put out King James Bibles that are awesome for so many years. And they continue to do that with the Cambridge Turquoise and the Cambridge Concord. I mean, these are just classic editions. So I know I'm going on and I'm just gushing about these King James editions, but the point I'm making is that the King James definitely gets special treatment. And, somewhat for good reason. I mean, it's obviously a beloved translation and still widely popular, and it has such historic meaning to it. So, I mean, what can you say? But I do wish that the beautiful editions of the King James could be put out in other translations. I'm particularly thinking of the New King James, right? I mean, it is an update of the King James. Can't we have a New King James Turquoise, right? I mean, that would just be awesome, or a New King James Long Primer. And I would love to see New King James editions that are a lot like the King James, with the verse-by-verse format, all of that. Really traditional, beautifully printed with the best materials. But I wouldn't mind having even some modern translations done that way, a Christian Standard Bible or an English Standard Version that are done in just the same way as some of these classic King James formats. So I don't really think that this is all that important or huge of an issue, but it's just something I've noticed and observed. And, of course, even though I wish the best editions could be put out in some of my favorite translations, I know it's not likely going to happen. Hey, maybe someone at one of these publishers, Bible printers, listens to what I'm saying and says, you know what, let's do it. Let's make a New King James Canterbury type Bible, or a New King James Long Primer, or a New King James Turquoise. That would be cool. I don't think it's going to happen, but hey, that's my first perspective on all this. I would love to hear what you think about King James editions. What are your favorite editions that are out there? Do you think that the King James editions are the best ones out there, or do you disagree with that? But I'd love to hear what your favorite editions of the Bible are. What kind of formats do you like? What kind of materials do you think are the best? What's your favorite that you own? Give me your thoughts in the comments, and thank you so much for listening to my thoughts from a First Perspective.